What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton's sixth-place finish at Monza 2024 wasn't the disappointment? It looked like but a warning shot to Ferrari. The seven-time world champion walked into the temple of speed with a penalty, the weight of expectation, and still delivered a message that rattled Maranello. This wasn't about points, it was about power. A breakthrough with the SF25, a glimpse of what could be, and a reminder of what's at stake. Because when Hamilton smiles after defeat, the paddock knows he's planning something bigger. So, did Ferrari just witness a turning point or the first crack in their scarlet dream? When Lewis Hamilton first signed with Ferrari, the dream looked almost too perfect to be real. Here was the most successful driver of the modern era, the man with 7 world championships, now dressed in red. Here was the most iconic team in motorsport, a name written into the DNA of Formula One, finally united with a driver capable of rewriting history itself. It was fire and ice, destiny written in scarlet. To fans and critics alike, it felt like a marriage made in racing heaven. But the reality, as the season unfolded, proved far more brutal than the fantasy. From Hungary to Spa, the bright promise dimmed. The SF25 refused to cooperate with its new master. The car, so full of potential on paper, turned into a nightmare on track. Hamilton, the driver known for extracting magic even from difficult machinery, found himself knocked out in Q1 on some weekends, even lapped at others. Each time he stepped out of the cockpit, the look on his face told the story. This wasn't the smooth fairy tale anyone imagined. The critics began to whisper, their voices growing louder. Had Lewis Hamilton made the wrong move? The car chewed through tires like no other machine on the grid. It twitched unpredictably through corners, its balance unstable, its performance inconsistent. Instead of fighting for podiums, Hamilton was fighting ghosts inside the cockpit. For the Tifosi, the loyal Red Army of fans who had prayed for a savior. This was not what they dreamed of. They had expected dominance, but instead they saw their new superstar appear vulnerable, even human. Yet through all of it, Hamilton never cracked. He fought, he wrestled, he endured. Deep down, he knew the story wasn't over. The legend of Lewis Hamilton doesn't fade easily. And then came Monza, the home of Ferrari, the temple of speed. A place where pressure doesn't simply exist, it suffocates. Every driver who wears red knows that perfection here isn't requested, it's demanded. Hamilton walked into Monza carrying another penalty, another setback before the lights even went out. Starting further back meant climbing yet another mountain. But from the very first laps of practice, something was different. The car no longer felt like a beast fighting against him. The rear end wasn't twitching, the balance wasn't lost. Through the Variante della Raggia, a section that had exposed Ferrari's weakness all season, Hamilton carried 3, sometimes 4 kilometers per hour more than anyone else on the grid. Engineers leaned forward, their eyes widening. One voice whispered, almost in disbelief, "It feels like we're watching a different car." And the data told the same story. For the first time in 2024, the SF25 looked stable, controlled, dangerous. Late in FP1, Hamilton bolted on the soft tires. The garage held its breath. The first sector wasn't even purple, he was holding something back. But then came the second sector. Both Lesmos were taken with perfect balance. Ascari was clean and flowing. Parabolica smooth, almost effortless. Purple sector, fastest of all. The grandstands erupted in a roar only Monza can produce. A sea of scarlet banners waved as chants of Hamilton, Hamilton, echoed across the temple of speed. Yes, it was only practice, but it didn't feel like practice. It felt like a statement. Still, Ferrari fans knew better. Practice could deceive. FP2, with heavy fuel loads and long runs, always revealed the truth. But Hamilton didn't blink. While Max Verstappen and Lando Norris chased one-lap pace, Hamilton loaded the Ferrari heavy with fuel and ran a full race simulation. Lap after lap, his times barely wavered within 0.2 each. Machine-like consistency. Rear tire degradation gone. Balance issues solved. For the first time, Ferrari's weakness turned into strength. Inside the garage, the mood shifted. No longer damage control. Now, strategy meetings buzzed with a new question. How do we control the race? Then came Sunday. Hamilton started 10th, burdened by penalties. By lap 7, he was already past Yuki Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Valtteri Bottas. He locked eyes with his old teammate, George Russell, chasing hard. The start was brilliant. He threaded the needle, squeezing between cars, aggressive yet precise. This wasn't desperation, it was a surgeon at work. But strategy became the enemy. Ferrari gambled, keeping Hamilton out 11 laps longer than Russell, betting on a late tire advantage. But tire wear was lower than expected. The gamble failed. The undercut window slammed shut. When Lewis Hamilton finally pitted, the moment of truth slipped away. He emerged behind Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. The window for a top 5 finish already closed. The undercut that could have changed the race never came. Frustration was written all over his words after the checkered flag. I think I was 1.5 seconds behind George. We should have tried to undercut him. We missed that opportunity. Those weren't excuses. They were expectations, the reflections of a driver who knew precisely what might have been possible and how it escaped him. On the other side of the garage, Charles Leclerc carried the hopes of the Tifosi. His qualifying lap had been nearly flawless, enough to start from 4th. He fought hard, even trading places twice with Oscar Piastri in the opening laps. But the paradox of the Ferrari struck again. On the long straights, the car was rapid, a rocket in red. Yet in the corners, it became sluggish, uncooperative, overheating its tires and bleeding pace. What began with promise quickly unraveled. For Leclerc, Monza turned into survival. For Hamilton, it became revelation. Because after the dust settled, Hamilton dropped the line that shook Maranello to its core. I definitely felt on top of the car. Today, simple words, understated, but filled with conviction. For months, his post-race comments had been careful, diplomatic, laced with frustration hidden beneath professionalism. But this was different. This was belief. At last, the SF25 wasn't resisting him. It obeyed. It responded. It allowed him to push without fear. For the first time, Hamilton and Ferrari felt like one. But Monza was never only about lap times or data. It was emotional. Hamilton himself compared the passion of the Tifosi to Brazilian football, saying their energy didn't weigh him down, it fueled him. Walking through Milan, he was embraced like royalty. Banners waved, chants echoed. Waves of scarlet followed him everywhere, and Hamilton embraced it fully. This wasn't just a race. It was belonging, a bond. Ferrari hadn't just signed a driver, they had found a leader, a believer, a man capable of lifting the entire organization on his shoulders. Even though the result was 6th, the momentum it created meant far more. For Hamilton and Ferrari, Monza 2024 wasn't the end of a story. It was the beginning of something bigger. But here's the twist. For all the progress, for all the passion, Ferrari still stumbled. Strategy errors, split decisions, a car that dazzles on Saturday and struggles on Sunday. Hamilton knows this game better than anyone. He's built dynasties. He's torn through eras. He knows when a team is close and when it's pretending. So when he smiles after a tough race, when he says we'll learn from it, don't mistake it for comfort. It's a warning. Because the most dangerous version of Lewis Hamilton isn't the one that wins. It's the one that waits, the one that rebuilds quietly, the one that measures every mistake and prepares for the storm to come. So now, a question hangs over Maranello like a thundercloud. Is Monza 2024 the spark that lights Ferrari's redemption arc, or is it the first crack in a dream already slipping away? Hamilton came to Ferrari for legacy, for glory, for a final chapter written in scarlet. But even legends have limits. If Ferrari can't give him the machine, if the strategy blunders, keep piling up, the fairy tale risks turning into tragedy. Because the scariest thing isn't Lewis Hamilton at full power. It's Lewis Hamilton wondering if he bet on the wrong team. So, what's your take? Was Monza truly the spark that Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton needed? Or just another chapter in a much bigger story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your perspective. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of Hamilton's journey in scarlet, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this video with your fellow Formula One fans and subscribe for more. The next race could change everything. Thanks for watching.